Imagine achieving a total transformation without the need to announce it to the world, without seeking external approval or depending on the validation of others. Imagine that every step you take is firm, solid, yet silent. There's no need to proclaim your evolution loudly, because it's perceived in your presence, your energy, your way of being in the moment. Sounds challenging, doesn't it? However, the Stoics understood this clearly. While many were eager for recognition, they chose silence. Because true strength doesn't need to make noise, it simply shows through actions. It's not that they refused to be seen, but rather they were certain that what is truly valuable doesn't require applause. Today I want to share with you 12 fundamental lessons on how you too can build your transformation from within without waiting for the world to applaud you for it. When you learn to move with intention, leaving distractions behind, you'll discover that no obstacle can stop you, not because the world understands your path, but because you've understood it yourself. Pay close attention to each of these lessons, but especially to the last one, as it is the most crucial of all. Before we begin, I invite you to go to the comment section and write, "I commit to growing in silence." With this affirmation, you take the first step toward taking control of your personal growth and choosing to move forward with clarity and determination. Write it now and give shape to your commitment. And as always, if you find value in this content, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the upcoming reflections. Now then, let's begin. Lesson 1. The power of silence. Imagine for a moment that everything stops. No notifications, no outside opinions, no imposed expectations. It's just you, your breath, and the deep echo of your own consciousness. In a world that rewards noise and constant exposure, learning to cultivate inner silence has become an act of courage, but it's also a direct path to authentic transformation. The problem is that we've been conditioned to value what is loud more than what comes from depth. We were taught to showcase every achievement, to justify all our decisions, to explain who we are with words that often don't fully represent us. However, real change doesn't boast, doesn't seek a stage. True transformation blooms in silence, away from the spotlight, without requiring approval or witnesses. Some people believe that progress only exists if it's validated with applause, as if its value depends on someone else's gaze. But the truth is that the soul grows strong in solitude, and character is shaped in stillness. In those moments when no one is watching and the only voices you hear are the ones that live inside you. The noise of the world can distract you, confuse you, even make you doubt the path you've chosen. But it will never define your evolution. Because what truly matters is not found outside, but in your ability to stay grounded amid chaos, in how you manage to remain calm when everything around you screams, in how you choose to act with integrity even when no one is watching. We are surrounded by stimuli competing for our attention. Without realizing it, we stop listening to ourselves. We think we need answers when what we actually need most is silence. Only in stillness can you reconnect with yourself. No masks, no interference, no filters. That's where clarity is born. That's where you understand what to let go of, what hurts you, and what you need to protect. Silence isn't emptiness. It's space. A sacred space where your soul can breathe freely. Learning to listen to yourself without being swept away by noise is a forgotten skill. Most people live surrounded by constant clamor, not only external, but also mental. Repetitive thoughts, worries, judgments, comparisons. And among all that, how could you possibly hear your deepest truth? How can you distinguish your own voice from others if you never pause? Inner silence is not repression. It's not about holding in what you feel, but about creating a space where you can understand it. It's not about isolating yourself from the world, but reconnecting with yourself. When you reach that state, you discover something powerful. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your struggle doesn't need to be seen to be legitimate. Your growth doesn't need recognition to be real. You stop chasing external validation because you understand that true growth is intimate, discreet, deep. Real transformation doesn't need banners, only consistency. It doesn't need to be declared. just lived. Marcus Aurelius expressed it wisely. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. From that perspective, inner silence also acts as a shield, a way to protect your peace when outside judgment tries to shake you. When you learn to stay centered, criticism no longer breaks you, praise no longer dazzles you, and opinions no longer throw you off course. Because you know yourself. Because you know who you are without needing anyone to remind you. But this doesn't happen overnight. It's a constant practice, a daily choice, to turn off the noise, slow the pace, quiet what doesn't serve you. It's training for both your focus and your character. And yes, at first it can be uncomfortable. Silence can confront you because it puts you face to face with yourself. But if you persist, if you learn to dwell in it, it becomes the most fertile ground for your evolution. That's where the decisions that change your destiny begin to grow. That's where you realize you don't need the world to see it for it to be real. It's enough that you live it with commitment, intention, and a focus on what truly matters. Because there is no greater act of revolution than being true to yourself in a world that tries to distract you from your essence. Don't seek approval, seek direction. Don't long for applause, seek purpose. And never forget, what is not said, but held firm, transforms more than 1,000 words. If this message resonates with you, go to the comments and write, "I choose the silence that strengthens me." By doing so, you reaffirm your commitment to building in the invisible what will hold the most value in your life. Lesson 2. The invisible discipline. There is a force that doesn't seek applause, that doesn't need to be proclaimed or displayed on social media. An energy that doesn't require an audience to be felt, nor immediate rewards to remain steady. That force is called discipline, and it is the foundation of everything that truly matters in life. The discipline that isn't shown is, in fact, the most powerful, because it doesn't rely on the eyes of others or on external recognition. It is built in the everyday, in the simplest moments when no one is watching, when you could give up and no one would know, when there are no prizes to win or punishments to avoid. There's only you and your determination. Many people believe that moving forward requires heroic acts of will or bursts of motivation. But the reality is different. What truly transforms you is quiet consistency. That act of doing what's right over and over, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're exhausted, even when there's no applause to cheer you on. Motivation is fleeting. It shows up with excitement and vanishes with routine. But habit, once established, has the power to carry you even through your grayest days. Because habit doesn't ask if you're ready. It simply reminds you of the decision you made about the person you want to become. And it's in that constant practice, without lights or spectators, where real change begins. What you do when no one is watching defines your character. It's not about the speeches you give in public, but the choices you make in private. Not about the intentions you declare, but the actions you maintain without needing to announce them. Discipline doesn't need to be proclaimed. What it needs is to be lived. Some people only act when there are visible consequences, deadlines, or someone pushing them from the outside. But those who manage to master their lives are the ones who do what's right, even without supervision, without the need for immediate results. Because they understand that each day is a new opportunity to reaffirm their commitment, that every small act, no matter how minimal it may seem, adds up, that every decision counts, even if no one celebrates it. Marcus Aurelius expressed it wisely. The reward for a good deed is having done it. That is the pure essence of discipline. Acting with integrity, not out of a need for recognition. Doing what must be done because it's right, not because someone imposes it on you. We live in a culture that rewards visible success but forgets that behind every achievement is a pile of invisible choices. No one sees the times you got up despite being tired, the meals you skipped to protect your health, the minutes you stole from leisure to learn, study, or grow. But all of that matters. All of that adds up. All of that leaves a deep imprint, even if the world never sees it. Discipline is choosing yourself again and again, even when it's uncomfortable. It's reminding yourself daily why you started. It's staying strong when giving up seems easier. And the most amazing part is that this constant, quiet practice ends up transforming you, not loudly or suddenly, but from the inside out. It changes your way of thinking, strengthens your resilience, sharpens your focus. You become someone stronger, not because of what you say, but because of what you're able to sustain. Epictetus reminded us that we don't have control over the outcomes, but we do have control over our actions. And it is that constancy without guarantees that shapes the Stoic character. Because the world might fail you, but your discipline won't. Life may get chaotic, but your chosen routine can bring you back to balance. It doesn't matter if others see it, you know it. You are building a solid foundation where many only improvise, and that holds far more value than any applause. So when you feel like your effort is going unnoticed, when the routine feels dull, or the spark of inspiration fades, remember this. Every time you do the right thing in silence, you grow stronger. Every time you choose habit over impulse, you are investing in the best version of yourself. And every day you act without needing to proclaim it to the world, you are getting closer to becoming the person you are meant to be. If this message resonates with you, go to the comments and write, "I choose the discipline that doesn't need to be seen." In doing so, you reaffirm your commitment to that silent but powerful change that will transform your life from within. Lesson 3. Don't explain your process. Embody it. We live in times where everything is displayed, where every move seems to need justification, explanation, or an audience. Changing has stopped being an intimate act and has become a sort of performance that must be documented, defended, and narrated step by step. But there's a truth few are willing to accept. You are not obligated to explain your process to anyone. You don't have to justify your choices, your pace, your pauses, your falls, or your silences. Real inner work doesn't need to be defended. It needs to be lived. It doesn't need words. It needs experience. At its core, over-explaining is a disguised form of seeking approval. We want others to understand why we made certain decisions, to see that we have valid reasons, to avoid being judged for changing, for creating distance, for transforming. But that need to justify every step can become a trap. Because the more you talk, the less you do. The more you try to convince others, the harder it becomes to convince yourself. The path of transformation is sacred, deep, and personal. It doesn't need narrators, it needs full attention. It doesn't require spectators, it requires real commitment. If you feel something inside you is changing, if your inner world is being rearranged, you don't need to explain it. Just keep moving forward. Others don't have to understand it. Many times, not even you can put into words what you're experiencing. You're shedding old versions of yourself, habits that no longer reflect who you are, relationships that no longer fit. And that's enough. There's no need for explanations, because those who truly understand don't need to hear them. And those who demand to understand are probably not ready to accept your evolution. True growth is perceived, not displayed. And deep transformations are not shouted, they're revealed with time. Some people put more energy into talking about their change than committing to living it. They post every step, every new idea, every adopted habit as if making it public makes it more real. But change isn't validated by likes or comments, it's confirmed through congruence, through repeated actions, through decisions made in silence when no one is watching. Epictetus taught that we shouldn't worry about seeming virtuous, but about being virtuous. Not about explaining our qualities, but practicing them. Those who act from authenticity don't need to defend themselves, because when you do the right thing out of conviction, your life speaks for itself. Real transformation is not a performance to be observed. It's a process, sometimes confusing, sometimes invisible, often filled with questions. And that's okay. No one needs to know why you no longer tolerate what you used to. No one needs to understand why you distanced yourself from certain people or why you now prefer a different way of life. You're not here to meet other people's expectations. You're here to discover your truth. And that discovery, by nature, won't always be understandable to others. Sometimes it won't even be understandable to you. But you don't need all the answers. You just need to keep going, step by step, calmly, in silence, trusting your process. Every step you take without explaining it is a powerful declaration of inner autonomy. Because you're no longer trying to convince, you're committed to transforming. You no longer need others to notice, because you feel it. And that's enough. Marcus Aurelius summed it up clearly. What truly matters is not what others say about you, but what you do with what you have. Don't talk about your evolution. Be your evolution. Don't explain your boundaries, establish them with firmness. Don't try to convince those who still can't see. Live with such peace that your calm speaks for you. The most valuable process is the one you build in the intimacy of your days, without validation, without witnesses, without argument. The less you share it, the more you integrate it. The less you defend it, the stronger it becomes. And when that change has matured, it will show in everything you do. Not because you announce it, but because it will be impossible not to notice. If this message resonates with you, go to the comments and write, "I'm living my process, not explaining it." By doing so, you reaffirm that your journey is yours alone, that it doesn't need translation, and that the most powerful proof of your transformation is how you choose to live, not how you try to explain yourself to others. Lesson 4. Strength lies in what can't be seen. There is a kind of strength that isn't proclaimed loudly, that doesn't aim to impress at first glance, that doesn't need to fill space to be immense. It's the strength of the invisible. What remains hidden but supports what is not shown yet defines everything. In a world that idolizes appearances and demands immediacy, it's easy to forget that the essential is often hidden. Foundations, though unseen, are what hold everything up. A structure without a base, no matter how beautiful it appears, collapses with the first storm. And you are built the same way. What you construct within, even if unnoticed, gives form and strength to everything you show externally. We live in a culture that glorifies results but overlooks the process. It celebrates visible accomplishments but ignores the nights of uncertainty, emotional battles, and silent decisions. But what's deep is rarely instant. It takes time, patience, and a quiet commitment that doesn't need witnesses to be real. Patience, in this sense, is not resignation. It is a form of power. It's the ability to keep planting without constantly needing to see results. It's trusting that your quiet effort is working, even if you don't perceive it yet. It's staying grounded in the process even when the rewards haven't come. Because often, what seems slow is exactly what's forging your character. It's shaping you from the inside, strengthening your core so that when you need to hold something great, you're prepared to do so with stability. No one applauds a tree when it's just a seed. No one celebrates roots growing in the dark. But without roots, there is no firmness. Without roots, any wind becomes a threat. Your growth follows the same principle. There will be days when it feels like you're not making progress, when you feel stuck, when your effort seems fruitless. But if you persist, if you keep choosing what you know is right, even without seeing an immediate reward, you're building something unshakable. You're creating a foundation that won't crumble under opinions, mistakes, or temporary failures. Epictetus taught that what is essential cannot be taken away if it comes from within. And that's exactly what you're cultivating. A strength that doesn't rely on the outside, that doesn't need validation, that simply exists. Marcus Aurelius understood this too. He said that everything has its time to ripen, and that forcing the process is nothing but impatience and ignorance. Instead of measuring your progress by speed, look at it through depth. Ask yourself what you're building while you wait, what you're learning while you move forward in silence, because even when it seems like nothing is happening, something inside you is changing. You are developing patience, you are strengthening your resilience, you are cultivating clarity. And these qualities aren't taught through speeches, they are earned through experience. Many rush until they burn out because they mistake speed for progress. But you don't need to rush if you're certain of where you're going. Calmness with purpose has more power than any hurried impulse. The invisible has its own way of making itself known. It doesn't speak through grand gestures, but through daily consistency. Through small choices that may seem minor, but when added up, make a massive difference. Through repeated actions that, even if they don't grab attention, are shaping a new version of you. When you feel your effort isn't being recognized, when doubt creeps in about whether all this is worth it, remember this. Steel is forged under intense heat, but it's strengthened in the patience of waiting. There is no force more lasting than the one born from silence, from time, and from deep commitment. Not everything valuable needs to be visible to have meaning. In fact, the most transformative things usually grow far from public view. So keep going, even if no one applauds. Even if others don't understand. Even if your progress isn't flashy or fast. You're building from the depths, and what grows from there does not collapse. If these words resonate with you, go to the comments and write, "I trust what I'm building, even if it can't be seen." In doing so, you reaffirm your commitment to a silent but unstoppable force that doesn't need to be visible to transform your life from the root. Lesson 5. Discomfort as a companion for growth. Most people run from discomfort as if it were an enemy, as if its very presence were a sign that something is going wrong. But discomfort is not a barrier, it's an entry point. It's the threshold that separates who you are from who you can become, and like any genuine change, it hurts. Not because it's unfair, but because it demands that you leave behind parts of yourself that no longer serve a purpose. Growth is painful because it means breaking away from old versions of yourself. It forces you to confront your ego, your routines, your comfort zones, and that's exactly where many choose to retreat. They prefer to stay in what's familiar, even if it no longer fulfills them, rather than walk through the fire that transforms everything. However, that pain, that inner tension, is not punishment. It's evidence that you're moving. It's the price of change. It's the sign that you're progressing, even if you can't yet see the results. Evolving means letting the familiar die. It means releasing beliefs, behaviors, identities that once protected you but have now become obstacles. That inner grief is real, because inside you, there's a part that longs to transform, and another that fears the unknown, clinging tightly to what feels safe. That internal battle is uncomfortable, yes, but also essential. There is no deep growth without discomfort. You can't become stronger without first breaking down. You can't reach a new version of yourself without first letting go of what no longer fits your evolution. Discomfort is not a sign of failure. It's an essential part of the process. You're not doing it wrong. You're going through something meaningful. Epictetus said it clearly. We shouldn't wish for life to be easier, but for ourselves to become stronger. And discomfort is precisely what makes you stronger. Every time you choose to keep going when things get tough, you're forging character. Every time you face your fears instead of avoiding them, you're expanding your capacity. Every time you stay grounded amid chaos, you prove that you no longer need to control everything in order to keep moving forward. But there's a condition. You must learn to live with discomfort without giving in to complaint. It's not about suffering in silence or ignoring your feelings. It's about releasing your resistance to what is sharpening your essence, about letting go of the desire for the path to be shorter, simpler, more comfortable, and starting to trust that every moment of tension has a greater purpose. Because it does. Pain is not pointless, discomfort is not random, it's the ground where resilience is trained, where clarity is cultivated, where determination is born. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that the nature of all things is to transform, and resisting that flow is fighting against the very order of the universe. Why then do we resist what can make us wiser? Because we've been taught to avoid discomfort, to seek immediate pleasure, to believe that if something is hard, it's not worth it. But the opposite is true. If it requires effort, if it challenges your limits, if it makes you deeply uncomfortable, it's probably exactly what you most need to face. There is a peace that can only be reached after passing through chaos. There is a confidence that can only be built after surviving yourself. And there is a version of you that you'll only meet if you choose not to run from the fire. Don't run from discomfort. Lean into what challenges you without panicking. Observe your emotions without hiding. Accept the process without dramatizing it. You are not being punished. You are being rebuilt. You are not stuck. You are being strengthened. Every discomfort carries a message, a lesson, a chance for growth. You just need the courage to stay there, without shortcuts, without choosing easy exits. Because what hurts today will become your foundation tomorrow, and what seems unbearable now will be, in time, the most powerful proof of your transformation. If this message reflects your journey, go to the comments and write, "I accept discomfort as part of my transformation." By doing so, you reaffirm that you're not running from pain. You're embracing it as a tool to become the person you deserve to be. Lesson 6. Silence the noise, not your goals. We are surrounded by noise. Opinions, judgments, comparisons, expectations you never asked for, but that arrive anyway. Everyone seems to have something to say about what you do, how you do it, and what you should be doing. And if you're not careful, that noise starts to creep in. It makes you question yourself. It holds you back. It pushes you to justify every step, to defend every move, to explain every decision. But there's one truth that sets you free. You don't need anyone's validation to follow your path. You're not here to convince others. You're here to build, to move forward, to reach what deep down you know belongs to you. And for that, you need to silence the noise, not your goals. Because when the noise takes over, it's not that you give up on your dreams. It's that you stop chasing them with the same intensity. Not because they've lost value, but because you get distracted trying to please people who don't understand your vision. External opinions don't build, they only interrupt. They're like stones thrown from the comfort of those who don't dare to walk. The harshest criticism often comes from those who do the least. The ones who judge the most are usually the ones who risk the least. And you can't afford to give your attention to every comment that appears. You can't move forward if you're stopping to explain yourself at every turn. You can't maintain your rhythm if you let every outside voice have the power to steer you off course. Silent focus is the most powerful kind. It doesn't seek recognition. It seeks consistency. It doesn't need to prove anything. It just needs persistence. And that's the key. Staying grounded even when no one notices, even when it feels like no one sees. You know what you're doing, the effort you're putting in, the changes you're making, the inner battles you're winning. You don't have to say it. You have to keep going. Let your results speak when the time is right. Not because others deserve to see it, but because you deserve to witness the fruit of your own discipline. And when that day comes, you won't even need to explain it. It will be obvious. There will be coherence. There will be strength. There will be a version of you that wasn't shaped by others' opinions, but by your discipline, by your ability to stay focused when everything around you begged you to get distracted. Epictetus said it clearly. True freedom doesn't mean doing whatever you want. It means not depending on others' judgment to guide your actions. If every opinion shakes you, then you're not walking with conviction. You're walking under pressure. But if you can move forward in silence with your eyes on your goal, nothing and no one can stop you. Marcus Aurelius also reminded us, it's not what others say that disturbs us, it's the value we give to their words. So ask yourself, who are you listening to? Who has access to your mind when you most need silence to build? Not every voice deserves to be part of your process. Not everyone is qualified to speak about a path they've never walked. Cut the noise. Turn down the voices that don't contribute. And above all, stop seeking approval where all you need is determination. Your vision isn't weak because not everyone sees it clearly. On the contrary, it has value precisely because it's yours alone. Others don't need to understand it. You just need to keep it in sight. If something breaks your focus, remove it. If someone questions your path, don't answer. You're not here to justify your journey. You're here to live it. And that demands more action than words, more presence than reaction, more trust in yourself than doubts planted by others. True progress happens in silence, not because it hides, but because it refuses to be distracted, because it knows the best response is the result, and that result will come, as long as you don't get swept away by outside noise. So keep going. No proving, no justifying, no stopping. Clarity appears when you stop looking outward. Power emerges when you decide to keep going without needing to be seen. If this message resonates with you, go to the comments and write, "I silence the noise, not my goals." With that, you reaffirm your commitment to unshakable focus and a vision that doesn't rely on external volume to grow. Lesson 7. What you practice in silence is revealed to the world. There's a truth many prefer to avoid. Everything you do in private will, sooner or later, manifest in public. It doesn't happen immediately or with fanfare, but it shows up with a certainty that cannot be hidden. Because your external reality is a reflection of your internal state. And if that inner world is aligned, disciplined, and coherent, it will eventually rise to the surface without needing an explanation. Your visible results will come later, but your energy will shift first. Others may not notice it right away, but you will feel it. A new mental pattern, a different presence, a calmness you didn't know before. That is the first sign of transformation. Maybe you haven't yet achieved everything you desire, but you no longer react the way you used to. The same doubts no longer paralyze you. You no longer seek excuses. You're no longer sabotaging yourself. That's real change. Deep, quiet, true. You don't need to announce it because consistent action transforms far more than any speech. You can talk for hours about your intentions, your goals, your new habits, but your true commitment is measured in the daily repetition, in the unobserved routine. You don't need to proclaim that you're evolving. You just need to show it through aligned choices, through actions you repeat even when no one applauds them. It's easy to make promises when someone is watching. What's truly difficult is keeping them when it's just you, your goal, and the temptation to quit. That's where character is built. That's where willpower is tested. Integrity is born in the intimate moments. You can't project strength if you're betraying yourself inside. You can't radiate peace if you're in constant inner conflict. You can't be a genuine inspiration if your habits contradict your message. True authority is not imposed, it is radiated. And that only happens when there is harmony between what you think, what you say, and what you do. Marcus Aurelius said that the best way to respond to harm is not to become like the person who caused it. That wisdom also applies to your transformation. The best proof that you're evolving is that you no longer resemble who you used to be. Not because you want to impress others, but because you've changed so much that you simply can't act the same. The world will recognize your evolution once you've already changed on the inside. Not because you seek recognition, but because your presence will be different. Your responses will be firmer. Your boundaries will be clear. Your energy will speak without you needing to say a word. And the most powerful part is that by the time that happens, you won't need approval, because you'll know exactly who you are. You'll have done the work. You won't be acting to prove something, but to protect what took you so much to build. There is a deep difference between acting to create change and acting from change. The first requires effort. The second, integrity. And that shift happens when you stop talking about your process and begin to live it through every one of your daily actions. Epictetus put it this way: a wise person is not one who speaks eloquently, but one who lives with virtue. Because in the end, your entire life is your most powerful message. What you project without trying to impress. What others feel without you pointing it out. That only comes from inner work, from quiet consistency, and from deep respect for your own path. You are not here to convince anyone that you've changed. You are here to build a version of yourself that no longer needs convincing, because you'll know that every uncomfortable decision you made, every habit you maintained in solitude, every step you took when no one was cheering, all of it was an essential part of your transformation. So let the world see it when the time is right. In the meantime, keep choosing discipline over distraction, effort over excuse, and coherence over words. If this message resonates with you, go to the comments and write, "I'm building in private what will soon be obvious." With that, you reaffirm your commitment to genuine change, one that doesn't need to be announced to be seen, because all true transformation is first felt and then revealed. Lesson 8. Don't waste energy. Talking about your plans. There's a subtle temptation that stops many people without them even realizing it. The urge to talk about what they're going to do before they actually do it. Sharing goals, describing future achievements, speaking out loud about things they haven't yet created. And while it might seem harmless, or even inspiring in reality, it's a form of self-deception. Because dreaming out loud is not progress. Talking doesn't equal action. Describing what you want doesn't bring you any closer to getting it. In fact, it often pushes you further away. Every time you share a goal you haven't started building, you receive a dose of premature gratification. People praise your intention, not your achievement. And that applause, however small, is misleading. It makes you feel like you've done something when you haven't even taken the first step. Talking drains valuable energy that should be directed toward action, consistency, and real, sustained decisions, not toward pretty phrases or promises spoken into the air. Some people invest so much in talking about their plans that, when it's time to act, they've got no willpower left. They burn through their motivation with words, and when faced with the work, they're empty. That's why silence is a powerful tool, not as a strategy to create mystery, but as an act of deep respect for your purpose. When you choose silence, you're protecting yourself, not because you're afraid of criticism, but because you recognize that your plans are still in their gestation phase, and everything that is still growing needs care, not exposure. Silence protects your purpose. It shields it from judgment, distractions, and interference. And most importantly, it keeps your energy focused where it matters most, in the action. You don't need to prove that you're changing. You don't have to convince anyone of what you're going to achieve. You only need to focus on the step in front of you, not on how the final result will look, not on how others will react, just on what needs to be done, today, now. Because it is in that moment that everything truly valuable is built. Focus on the next step, not on applause. Marcus Aurelius said that what doesn't benefit the hive is useless to the bee. Applied to your path, it means that anything that doesn't contribute to your growth is hindering it. If talking about your plans doesn't accelerate your progress, then it's slowing you down. Epictetus taught that we should not boast about our intentions, but live in alignment with them. Because in the end, you are not what you plan to do. You are what you carry out quietly without witnesses. Real growth doesn't make noise. Authentic work doesn't need a stage. True discipline doesn't seek attention. It simply demands to be followed. Every time you choose to act in silence, you are choosing transformation over ego. You are choosing consistency over appearance. You are building a solid structure that doesn't need applause to stand. The world already has enough empty speeches. It needs more real examples. People who don't talk much, but stay the course. Who don't declare their goals, but achieve them. Who don't share their strategy, but execute it. Not out of secrecy, but because they understand that their process is sacred, and not everything valuable needs to be exposed in order to exist. So next time you feel the impulse to share your plans, stop and ask yourself, does this move me forward or distract me? Does this fuel me or drain me? Is this coming from emotion or from conviction? And if the answer isn't action, choose silence. Work on your path without noise. Create in private. Move forward without announcements. Time will speak for you. And when that moment comes, you won't need to explain anything. If this message resonates with you, go to the comments and write, less words, more action. With that, you reaffirm your decision to protect your energy, sharpen your focus, and keep moving without distractions toward the life you are determined to build. Lesson 9. Real transformation starts within. Many people talk about change as if it's something immediately visible, a new routine, a different look, a more positive attitude, or a checklist of new habits. But all of that is external. What's deep, what truly transforms, happens on the inside. Because authentic change isn't superficial. It's internal. It's not about looking different. It's about thinking differently. About seeing life from a new perspective. About daring to question yourself with honesty. about letting go of beliefs that once defined you but now limit you. True transformation isn't about changing your environment, your appearance, or your image. It means changing yourself at the root. It's about choosing to feel differently, to act not out of impulse, but from awareness. And at first no one notices, because it's not a renewed image, it's a renewed identity. And identities aren't bought, declared, or faked. They're built. They're forged in the intimacy of your choices, in how you confront your thoughts, in how you manage your emotions when no one is watching, in what you choose to do when only you know what's happening inside. To truly change is to go through a symbolic death, to leave behind an old version of yourself, perhaps a comfortable one, that no longer belongs in your life. And that's not something you see right away. Because the first thing that changes isn't the surface, it's the root. Before the branches can grow differently, the inner system must be renewed. And unless that transformation is deeply rooted within you, any external change will be fragile, temporary, an illusion. You can appear more disciplined, more balanced, stronger. But if inside you're still acting out of fear, seeking approval, or driven by ego, then nothing essential has changed. Real change doesn't need to be shown. It's felt. It's breathed. It manifests on its own. And if you don't feel it, then it isn't real. Because there is no evolution without awareness. There is no true growth without understanding. It's not enough to do new things if you're still the same person inside. Improving your routines doesn't matter if your inner dialogue is still destructive. Projecting confidence means nothing if your mind is filled with constant self-criticism. Marcus Aurelius said that true life happens in the mind, and he was right. You can change everything around you, but if you don't change the way you think, your world will stay the same. Circumstances may shift, but you'll keep reacting the same way. Because what shapes your experience isn't what happens, it's how you interpret it. And that interpretation is born within you. Epictetus taught that what matters is not what happens, but how you respond to what happens. So change isn't what you experience, it's what you absorb, what you integrate, what you choose to release. And that can't be seen, it's felt. It's expressed in the calm way you carry yourself, in the words you no longer need to say, in the conflicts you stop seeking. It's the difference between someone who reacts automatically and someone who chooses consciously. Between someone who copies habits and someone who embodies them. Between someone who says, "I've changed," and someone who proves it simply by how they show up in the world. Real transformation isn't noticeable at first, but over time, it becomes clear. In how you speak, in how you choose, in how you see life. And the most powerful thing is, when the change is real, you no longer need others to notice, because you didn't do it to show off. You did it to free yourself, not to impress. You did it to become who you are. It wasn't external, it was internal, and that's why it's irreversible. So don't obsess over looking different. Focus on being truly different. Don't chase a more attractive version of yourself. Seek a more conscious one, a version more faithful to your essence, more aligned with who you really are. If this message resonates with you, go to the comments and write, "I choose to transform from within." In doing so, you reaffirm that your process isn't a facade. It's a deep root growing with strength, even if no one notices it at first. Because what is born within is built to last. Lesson 10. Learn to move forward without applause. There's a kind of progress that doesn't get applause, that doesn't earn likes, and that receives no words of encouragement. It's a silent kind of advancement, one that happens far from the spotlight, without witnesses, without notifications to celebrate it. And yet it's the most valuable progress of all. Because it's in those moments, when no one recognizes you, when no one cheers you on, when there's no company or external motivation, that you truly decide whether you're serious or not. Learning to keep going without expecting recognition is one of the hardest tests of personal growth. The ego longs to be seen. It wants applause. It wants to hear, "You're doing great. You're so strong. I admire you." But that's not what holds you up. What truly sustains you is inner conviction, a clear sense of direction, a deep connection to the purpose you carry within, even if no one else understands or celebrates it. External validation is fragile. It shifts with trends, with people's emotions, with their ability or inability to see what you see. And if your drive depends on that, then you're not committed to your goal. You're committed to the image others have of you. Not everyone will understand your path, and that's okay. Not everyone will value your effort or know the emotional cost of staying strong. And they don't need to, because your purpose doesn't need to be understood by others. It needs to be upheld by you. It's fueled by your private connection to what you're building. When you keep going without needing to be seen, without seeking approval, you're acting from the heart of what truly matters. You're focused on what's deep, not what's visible, and that puts you ahead. While others wait for perfect conditions, you're already moving. While others seek company, you've learned to walk with yourself. Invisibility strengthens commitment because it forces you to look inward. It pushes you to ask yourself honestly why you're doing what you're doing, to find out if you truly want it, or if you were just saying it out of habit. And if, after all that, you decide to keep going, then you've already won, because you've stopped moving from reaction and started acting from conscious choice. What truly lasts is not built under the spotlight. It's forged in the shadows, in the days without witnesses, in the decisions no one hears about, in the efforts you never post. That's where the unbreakable is born. Visibility may come later, if it ever comes at all, but even if it doesn't, you'll have gained something much greater: self-respect. Marcus Aurelius said that the wise man is not the one famous for his wisdom, but the one who acts with wisdom even when no one sees. That is the essence of moving forward without being recognized, knowing that your progress has value even without spectators, because you are there, you are living it, you know how much it costs you, and that is enough. Epictetus taught that we should not seek to be admired but to be worthy of admiration. And that worth doesn't come from what you project, it comes from what you practice, from what you choose to do when no one is watching, from what you hold firm, even when everything around you would justify stopping. Learning to continue without applause is a form of freedom. It's a sign that your commitment is real, that you're not here for recognition, but for results, that your energy is focused on building, not convincing. And when that happens, something inside you shifts. It no longer hurts that no one notices. It no longer frustrates you that others don't understand. Because you are so connected to your purpose that you don't need anything else. You walk because you know where you're going, not because someone is pushing you. And that, in a noisy world desperate for attention, is an extraordinary strength. So keep going, without the noise, without showing everything, without offering explanations. The world doesn't need to understand your path for it to be valid. Only you need to keep it alive. If this message resonates with you, go to the comments and write, "I move forward even if no one sees it." By doing so, you reaffirm your commitment to a path that doesn't need a stage to be real. Because what matters isn't whether you're recognized, but that you don't stop. Lesson 11. Guard your energy from external judgment. There's a form of energy you must protect more than time, more than money, more than any material resource. That energy is your focus, your inner peace, your mental clarity. Because everything you build, everything you decide, everything you achieve will emerge from that inner core. And nothing drains that energy faster than other people's judgment, opinions without context, criticism launched from ignorance, looks from those who know nothing about your story, yet still feel entitled to comment on your path. That's why, if you're in the middle of a transformation, if you're growing, rebuilding yourself from within, there's something you must always remember. Guard your energy from external judgment. Not everyone will understand your change. Not everyone will celebrate your evolution. Some will feel uncomfortable. Others will project their limitations onto you. So don't share your steps with those who don't have the capacity to understand your journey. Not everyone is ready to see what you're building, and that's okay. It's not their path, it's yours. They don't need to approve it. Only you need to uphold it. Opening up to those who are closed-minded isn't bravery, it's exhaustion. Explaining yourself again and again to those who only want to judge is like planting seeds in dry soil. Nothing blooms, and it only drains your energy. Criticism only holds you back if you allow it to. An opinion only has weight if you give it importance, and that, even if it doesn't seem like it, is a choice. You can't control what others say, but you can control how much you let it affect you. You can learn to discern, to distinguish when a critique is a helpful reflection, and when it's just noise dressed up as advice. Because some voices don't want to support you, they want to stop you, not necessarily out of malice, but because your progress makes them uncomfortable. Your growth reminds them they could change too, but they've chosen not to. So instead of being inspired, they criticize. Instead of learning, they judge. But you are not here to convince anyone. You are here to transform. Don't seek approval, seek evolution. Don't get distracted trying to be understood. Don't interrupt your process to explain yourself. Your energy is too valuable to waste justifying what is still being built. True transformation is delicate. It requires focus. It requires protection. It requires silence. Real growth isn't shouted, it's nurtured. Don't expose it to those who aren't ready to comprehend it. Your evolution doesn't need permission. It doesn't have to be approved. It doesn't need to be explained. It only needs to be lived, with commitment, with integrity, with the inner strength that doesn't shake under outside doubt. Marcus Aurelius said that if something external disturbs you, it's not the event itself, it's your judgment of it. And this applies perfectly to others' opinions. It's not what they say that affects you, it's the meaning you attach to their words. So ask yourself, if their opinion affects you, is there still a part of you that needs to be validated? Is there some piece of you that doesn't yet fully trust your own path enough to stand without applause? That's the real lesson. It's not about becoming hardened or closed off to the world. It's about becoming strong enough on the inside that no outside voice can control your steps. Epictetus taught that the only things truly under your control must be your top priority, your attitude, your focus, your response. You can't change what others think, but you can decide what you do with it. And when you choose to protect your energy, you're telling the world, and most importantly, yourself, that your inner peace matters more than any opinion, that your purpose is above outside judgment, that your path is valid even if no one claps for it. So keep moving forward in silence. Keep making choices that align with your truth, even if others don't understand them. Because the only person who truly needs to understand your process is you. If this message resonates with you, go to the comments and write, "I protect my energy from what doesn't build me." In doing so, you reaffirm that your transformation is sacred and that you will not allow others' judgment to weaken the strength you need to keep growing. Lesson 12. When the change becomes real, you won't need to announce it. There comes a stage in the transformation process where you still feel the need to explain yourself. You want to tell the world that you're making progress, that you're doing things right, that you're no longer the same person. And that's normal. In the beginning, we seek signs that our effort is worth it. We want others to recognize it, for the world around us to validate the internal growth that's costing us so much. But if you persist, if you go deeper, if you stay steady, a point comes when all of that loses importance. Because when change becomes solid, you no longer need to announce it. There's no need to say it. You don't have to defend it. People will notice, without you needing to explain anything. They'll see it in the way you look, in the boundaries you now set with clarity, in your calmer responses, in the peace that has replaced your impulsive reactions. They'll sense it, even if you don't know how to put it into words, because your energy has changed. Your body, your gestures, your entire presence will begin to tell a story more powerful than any declaration. Your presence will speak for you, effortlessly, quietly, without the need for a performance. Because real change is noticed. It isn't shouted. It doesn't need banners. It needs consistency. It doesn't seek applause. It seeks integrity. It doesn't rely on outside approval, because it's already rooted deeply within you. That's the major difference between a superficial transformation and an authentic one. The first one needs to be seen. The second one simply is. When the change is real, it feels solid. It doesn't need embellishment. It doesn't need to be sold. It carries an inner strength that is sensed, not explained. And when someone sees you from the outside, they'll feel that strength, and there will be no need to convince them of anything. Coherence impacts more than speeches. Calmness inspires more than words. Self-mastery is felt more than it's said. Marcus Aurelius said that a person's character is revealed by what they do when no one is watching. And we might add, true transformation is revealed when you no longer need recognition. When you stop acting to earn applause and start acting out of loyalty to yourself. You've truly changed when you no longer feel the need to prove it. When you stop shaping your life to be understood by others. When you choose in silence. When you take action without waiting for approval. When you own your steps without asking for permission. And that's not coldness, it's maturity. It's understanding that your growth doesn't need justification. It's personal, it's sacred. And if it's authentic, the result will speak louder than any announcement. Epictetus taught that we shouldn't talk about philosophy, we should live it. That same principle applies to personal growth. It's not something you narrate, it's something you embody, something you breathe. Something that reveals itself in every choice, in every daily decision, in every reaction you no longer have. When change has truly taken root, it's no longer an event. It's a way of existing. You stop wanting people to notice because you're too focused on sustaining it. You stop explaining it because it's already a part of your nature. You no longer need to convince anyone because what you transmit is enough. And if they don't see it, that's okay. Because you're no longer doing it for them. You're doing it because there's no other way you can live. That new version of yourself doesn't need an audience to exist. It's solid. It's real. It's yours. Keep growing without rushing. Keep walking without announcing every step. Time will eventually put everything in its place. And what you're building in silence today will one day become a presence so undeniable, no one will be able to ignore it. If this message resonates with you, go to the comments and write, "I don't need to prove it, I'm living it." This reaffirms that your change isn't seeking attention, it's seeking depth. That your process is so genuine, its impact will be inevitable, even if you don't announce it. And if you've made it this far, also write in the comments, "What's not good for the hive is not good for the bee." I invite you to subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave your comment so the platform knows this kind of content brings you value. That encourages us to keep creating more messages like this one. And if you want to continue on this path, check out the last 2 episodes we've recommended for you. Thank you truly for your time, your energy, and for being part of this community. We'll see you on our next adventure.